Okay, so Nick Saban made some interesting comments on the College Game Day set prior to the national championship game that involved his theory regarding the Big Ten taking over as the dominant conference in college football over the SEC. I was watching it live, and I was good to see Ross Dellinger wrote an article about it. He's a tremendous college football writer, and I was wondering if this was going to pick up any steam because, first of all, great question, and great to hear Nick Saban talk about his theory on why his beloved SEC, certainly the best conference in college football for the last 25 years, has seemingly been taken over from the Big Ten. So the Big Ten has 3 straight national championships, right? Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana, 3 different programs, which is maybe even more impressive. And then the SEC hasn't even played in the national title game in those last 3 years. Let's reverse it for a second. Went back, did some digging for y'all. The SEC won 7 national championships in a row from 2006 to 2012. Anyone doubting the SEC's greatness during that time was out to lunch, to say the least. The SEC won 13 of 17 national championships from 2006 to 2022. Again, by far, no close second, the best conference in the world. Also, if you look at the NFL draft talent evaluations and the sheer number of players drafted, I could pull those stats up for you too, but it is wildly in favor of the SEC. The SEC is certainly the most talented conference in college football during that run. Okay, even more interesting, I thought, Ohio State in 2014 is the only team to win a national title during that span from the North. So Clemson won 2, 16 and 18, and then Florida State with Jameis won that one. So 16 of those 17 national championships came from the Deep South. Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Georgia, Florida State. And then you had that one outlier, Ohio State. It was without question the best conference in the sport. Now, the Big Ten has won 3 straight natties. So why is that? Nick Saban was asked, why is that? And he said, quote, rules favor the Big Ten. What he's obviously getting at is NIL compensation for athletes favor the Big Ten. If you think about it, the Big Ten has a bunch of tremendous universities with giant donor bases who are willing to invest in college football players and pay the players more than perhaps others. Now, Curt Cignetti has said publicly our NIL is nowhere near what you think it is, and I believe him. I think Indiana now, Cuban's coming on, but I actually do think, like, if you look at their team, that's why it was so insanely remarkable what he did. It is a lot of JMU guys. Obviously, Mendoza probably got paid pretty well coming over from Cal, but it's a lot of JMU guys. It's a Maryland running back. It's, guys who transferred in from unheralded places after not playing much. Like, the coaching job has been all-time under Cignetti. No one would deny that. I want to, kind of continue on with the Saban side of things. Basically, he had a really funny quote that said, quote, "You'll never convince me otherwise when talking about why players from the South are starting to go to the Big Ten schools. Quote, because people in the South would not go to the North unless you paid them." And then, by the way, he followed that up with picking Miami to win the national championship game, which almost happened, by the way. They're a really physical team, arguably a more physical team than Indiana was in that game. But hats off to Indiana for finding a way to win. And, I mean, my take on this is that, yes, absolutely, the NIL wild rules are playing a huge part in why Tuscaloosa isn't raking in all the best players and stacking them, because pre-NIL, if you were a great defensive player, most of which are born in the South, Texas, Florida, and Georgia and Louisiana, those are by far the best states in America, by far the best states in America for high school football talent. California's good, Pennsylvania's actually good, but by a mile, it's Texas, it's Florida, it's Louisiana, and Georgia for high school football recruits, okay? So all of those kids are staying in the South pre-NIL because they want to get coached by Nick Saban. They want to get coached by Kirby Smart. If you're a DB and money is more or less equal, why the hell would you go anywhere else other than Alabama or LSU and these days Georgia with Kirby? Like, why would you go anywhere else other than those if money's equal? Now, Guess who Ohio State's best defensive player was last year? Caleb Downs. They bought Caleb Downs. Ohio State bought Caleb Downs off of Alabama. Period. Caleb Downs, that is probably the best example of a player who pre-NIL is coached by Saban and stays in the South, or coached by Kirby, or goes to DBU, aka LSU. But now that it's all about money, he's just going to go to Ohio State because he's going to get paid more. That is in real time a living, breathing, active player example of someone who is going to leave the South for money. That's exactly what Nick Saban's saying. So until NIL legislation gets changed and you can just pay anyone anytime and buy them in the portal, I think the Big Ten has the upper hand. Now, it's a bigger question. How does it get changed? I think we all agree it's a little too lawless. There needs to be a little more regulation. That's no longer even the topic. When they bring this up on game day and Herb Street chimes in and Saban chimes in, and that's not even, there's no disagreement among college football experienced folks like Saban and Herbie. It's more so, how does it get changed? My opinion would be that Trump and Saban go to Congress and find a way to legitimately get the Supreme Court or Congress involved to make bills such that, because the NCAA is, everyone talks about it, but it's true, it's kind of a spineless organization that doesn't have any real power. And I think that House versus NCAA settlement essentially settled that they don't have any power with regards to college football legislation. And every time they did try to do something, they would just get sued by a school or a player. So it's not even necessarily fully their fault because they would just get sued every time. So there needs to be a government-backed, protected, unified front office for college football that will install rules and regulations such that, the college football calendar at least gets fixed. You can't just buy anyone out of their contract all the time like Miami's trying to do with Darian Mensah right now, or like Ohio State did with Caleb Downs. So until that gets changed, though, yeah, the Big Ten can stake claim as the best conference in college football because they can buy the SEC's players because there's more money in the Big Ten. And I also want to say, while it's certainly a money angle, no doubt about it, I also want to give credit to Cignetti for being that brilliant of a coach. He is the best coach in the sport right now. Curt Cignetti is the best coach in college football. Indiana did not buy a bunch of 5-stars. We've seen that, it's famous at this point how few 4- and 5-star, aka blue chip recruits Indiana has on its roster comparatively to the rest of the college football playoff field. It was 8 4-star guys, no 5-star guys. The rest of the field has 70-something 4- and 5-star guys per team, basically, in the Final Four anyway. So Cignetti's coaching job is what got Indiana this title and Mendoza's true greatness, not just money. Ohio State, a lot of money there. Bought Caleb Downs, right? Michigan, a lot of money there. But hey, listen, until it gets changed, they're just playing by the rules, and I think Saban saw this coming. And he saw his grip loosening based on legislation of just pay anyone all the time. And I thought it was really funny. You'll never convince me otherwise because people in the South would not go to the North unless you paid them. And listen, it's probably true. But those are the rules right now. And as a result, the Big Ten can stake its claim with its third straight national championship as the best conference in college football.